golfj.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the golfj.com podcast on fingerlakes1.tv. I'm Jim Sinacropi alongside Rhett Taccone and Doug Brown here inside the fingerlakes1.com studios on the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York on Monday, June 5th, 2017. Tonight we'll be talking about the Memorial, one of my favorite tournaments. Didn't disappoint. Had some unique things happen at the end of Sunday's final round with the weather delay and the finish. But Jason Dufner comes through with a big win. Rhett was down at Streamsong this weekend, and it's not Orlando. Is it Orlando?
No, it's basically Streamsong. It's probably about an hour and 15 minutes due east of Tampa. So closer to Tampa, actually, but you can get to it from either way.
So we got pictures. He's going to review that facility. Looks top-notch.
Totally.
And Phil Mickelson likely to miss the U.S. Open for his daughter's graduation. Today was sectional qualifying for the U.S. Open. They call it the longest day in golf. So all the results aren't even in. They had some weather delays there, too. We'll talk about that. I had the shanks for
I hate that word.
For probably almost a month to start the season. I've overcome them. Back to playing good golf, or a lot better golf than when I had the shanks. I'm going to tell you about kind of how I handled that, and we'll discuss something that most golfers don't even like to discuss. So we'll talk about it. And what else do we have here? Oh, yeah, next week, the FedEx St. Jude Classic, a great tournament down in Memphis before the U.S. Open. So ton to get to tonight. Fellas, welcome back to the studio.
Hey, Jim.
Glad to be here, Jim. Thanks.
And welcome back up north, Rhett.
Yeah, it's a little cooler up here than it was in Florida, that's for sure.
So we're going to talk about the courses, but I think it's pretty cool how you guys you have a group of guys from your college days. Yeah. And this is the 20th straight year you guys have gotten together and gone on a golf trip.
Yeah. So we started out with this trip in '97. I think there were 7 of us from college. And it's expanded. There's about 16 of us that go on any given year now. We're in our 20th year. We just finished up our 20th trip. I'm the only one that's been on all 20. But
well, you're the organizing.
I kind of have to be there. Yeah, I don't know if I trust my boys to plan that trip if I wasn't there. But that's just me.
Are they listening right now?
Probably. Some of them are, anyways. Yeah. But they know the deal. They don't want to be the ones that plan the trip anyway. So they just like to go and drink beer, play golf, and hang out. So, but yeah, it's evolved. We've had guys come and go that we've brought into the mix that weren't college buddies, but we've just evolved the group along the way. Jim's been a part of it.
Last year I played when you guys came up here, and we played at the courses were Turning Stone and Seneca Falls Country Club. Yep. And it's a great group of guys, and varies in age.
Yeah. We have a 72-year-old who's one of the uncles of one of our guys. I'm the oldest of one of the oldest of the rest of the group, myself and one of the other guys. But we're all within a couple of years, so to speak. We have guys from Australia come in this year. He used to be with us every year, and then he moved to Australia, and he was with us. The last time he was with us was year 10, so he made the trip. So Jay Bulger, thanks for coming all the way from Australia to Tampa.
Who won?
Well, it was kind of an eclectic mix with a wide-ranging skill levels. So this year we didn't do as much tournaments as we just kind of did side stuff in individual matches. So I think the low round of the trip was a 78 by my buddy Brian Walters, who came over to visit us from Jacksonville. He's with the Jaguars, and I know him from Cornell and invited him along a couple years ago. And so when we're down in the area where he can make it to a trip, he came along. He shot 78 on the blue course at Streamsong.
So we're going to hear all about Streamsong. Yeah. Like I said, we got some photos. But first, let's talk about what was another great tournament on the PGA Tour this week. What I'd like to call the 6th major, maybe. Like, I think you got the Players and then the Memorial. That's kind of my pecking order for tournaments I get excited for. And, of course, Jack's tournament, is a big part of it. And Jason Dufner holed a 32-foot par putt to secure the win, his 5th win on tour. And listen to this. After 36 holes, he led the tournament by 5 shots. And then after 54 holes, he trailed by 4 shots. And then after 72 holes, he won the tournament by 3 shots. So up and down, a legendary bounce-back performance for Dufner on Sunday, who shot a 4 under 68 after shooting 77 the previous round. He almost, your boy from Jacksonville, almost nipped Dufner there on Saturday. And since 1983, only one tournament winner, not counting majors, has ever shot a third-round score higher than Dufner's 77. And that was the 1986 Honda Classic when Kenny Knox shot an 80 on Saturday and then followed it up with a 70 to win by 1 at TPC Eagle Trace. So some interesting things about the way this kind of played out. There was weather delays on Sunday, and the second weather delay was very late. There was only 6 players on the course at the time, I think.
6.
Yeah.
And Dufner had just birdied 17 to open up a 2-shot lead, but he hit his drive into the deep rough, downhill lie, and Ricky Fowler, who was 2 shots behind, was in the middle of the fairway. So they waited for over an hour before resuming play at 8:06 p.m., and with plenty of time, daylight left, even if there was a playoff, they probably could have done it because it stays light out till almost 9 o'clock this time of year. So, just to recap it, Dufner doesn't even get it out of the rough after his first shot, and then hits a really nice shot out of the rough onto the green and holds the 32-foot putt. Meanwhile, Fowler misses the green, and the other guy with a shot. Well, Thomas was back into the mix, but they all needed some help from Dufner. But Daniel Summerhays, 2 holes back on 16, had a shot before the delay and then bogeyed the 16th. He's out of it. And before you know it, good old lovable Jason Dufner, one of my favorites because I was at and maybe we all were, at the PGA Championship in Rochester when he won it. So, kind of, when a guy wins like that in your neck of the woods up at Oak Hill, you kind of remember that. And I can remember watching him finish on the second round, it might have been, of the PGA at Oak Hill, where he had a putt to break the all-time, the course record at Oak Hill. I think it was for 64 maybe. It was a phenomenal tournament, Brownie. What you were watching it? What was your take?
Well, I got to give Jason Dufner credit. I don't think he's been playing terribly well this year. He's been short game challenged for some time. But the gap between those 265s and that 77 is huge, and I would think he more than typically be the type that would go away for the weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe a 72 on Sunday, and that might have been a stretch. So you got to give him credit for coming back with a 68, because he said that he was like a different person on Saturday compared to Thursday and Friday. So you got to give him credit for the 68, and he got a little bit of help. Some people stumble along the way on Sunday as well, but. He's got this new breathing technique with his putting. Apparently, it's really got him going a lot better because he can look awkward over the putter. I think his ball striking has been very good for many years, but sometimes his putting is about as scary as mine. But he didn't have it this weekend, and I haven't paid too much attention to these breathing techniques that they're talking about he was doing. It must be something to control his mind. I think I could figure.
Tempo maybe with the putter?
Could be, in and out. I don't know.
But he's a guy that seems to be so relaxed out there at all times, and so
it's hard to imagine someone would get to him.
Very calming attitude.
Yeah,
you just wonder, like, if for not just him, any of those guys that shoot a 68, 66, 70, and then throw out 2 days in a row and then throw out a 77. Like, how does that work? How does that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys.
What's so different?
Yeah,
we've been there though. They are pros, but how many times have I teed it up on a Friday and shot a 74 and been like, I can't wait till Sunday when I play again. I'm gonna shoot a 73,
right?
And then card an 86.
Yeah, right.
It's
amazing.
It's just a real difficult game, and he had battled a little bit with the yips during that Saturday round, and it can just spiral out of control. Golf is a tough game, and which is more impressive to think that he can come back, on a Sunday with the tournament on the line after knowing that he shot a 77 the day before and put that kind of round together.
Right. He was more apt to make that 30-foot putt than he would be a 3-foot putt.
Yeah.
Prior to this weekend.
I know that.
Because he was dangerous, or he looked awfully uncomfortable in a 3-foot putt, 4-foot putt. This week I thought he looked very comfortable.
You know, when you get in that range of putt where it's embarrassing if you miss it, you know, that just adds a little pressure. And so sometimes you putt better from 10 feet because more than often than not, most people miss 10-footers. Right. So, you know, it's like nothing to lose almost.
You don't feel bad.
Right.
And he always gives you the impression that he doesn't care. No matter what the club he's using, whether it's a driver, a 7-iron, or a putter, his attitude or whatever, it's like, okay, big deal, right? Like he doesn't really get upset. You don't see him break clubs, kick the dirt. I see him drop a putter every once in a while and walk away from it, let the caddy pick it up. But I don't see him do any damage to his bag or his clubs or anything like that. Yeah. So you wonder if there's any fire. But there obviously is.
He talked about it a little bit, you know, about how it took him 10 years from the time he graduated from college to break onto the tour and, you know, all the stuff he kind of had to overcome. He called himself a fighter. It's just that, you know, the way that we would think of a fighter, you know, somebody like maybe Patrick Reed out there, you know, showing a lot of emotion, but you know, he's got an internal fight going on. So in his mind, he is fighting, but
grinding all the time.
Really a great example for younger golfers too about, you know, when it's going bad and it's going good, you should kind of look the same out there. Yeah. And because Dufner really does, and paid off for him. You know, he 5-time PGA Tour winner.
Yeah.
He's had a very good career.
Yeah, and he had some,
with a long ways to go.
He had some, you know, he had probably had a rough couple of years with his marriage issues and stuff. So, you know, you think the way he's bounced back from that and just how he bounced back this weekend overall, it just kind of seems like his personality to keep plugging away and not let things get to him too much.
Yeah. I'm glad to see him win. I think he's good for golf. I think he's a fan favorite.
He's an everyman kind of guy.
Yeah. I agree.
So it is interesting, too, with a guy like Dufner, who his career was kind of at the point where, okay, he missed a few cuts, and all of a sudden, you know, he just fades into oblivion, you know, with his resume set intact. Right. But, you know, all of a sudden now he wins and opportunities arise. Right. First of all the exemptions that come with it. He already has plenty of exemptions, but it moved him from 25th to 6th in President Cup standings.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Likewise, Kuchar's tied for 4th, moved him up from 14th to 10th for the U.S. team in President Cup standings. But that's a big jump. You know, Dufner goes from probably making plans to do something, you know, other than golf on President's Cup weekend to now, you know, he's in the mix for sure. There's only a couple months left.
Might be enough to keep him in the team right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
sorry, Jim, but just think about when he and Keegan Bradley went head to head in that PGA Championship, and just think about their career arcs from there to yesterday. You know, not that Bradley's been awful, but Dufner goes and wins the PGA a few years later, wins 4 more tournaments, is in the mix. He's played on was it Ryder Cup or President's Cup team in the last few years?
Ryder Cup, yeah.
Ryder Cup. So, you know,
I'm assuming he's on the Ryder Cup, wasn't he?
Thought he maybe at Medina. Was he on that team? Maybe
I would say in 14 he was probably on the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, maybe not this past year,
because he won the PGA in 13 and
right. Yeah. So, you know, he's definitely you know, not an upward track, but he's kind of been one of those guys that you can count on. It's going to be in the mix every year since he's got back through some of these issues he had in the last year or so.
Right.
Well, there's some other kind of interesting things about this weekend's tournament, and one of them is that Dufner led at 14 under par after 36 holes. Now the cut was 3 over, so that 17-stroke difference was the first time in 12 years that it's been that large at any event on the PGA Tour, because usually it's top 40 in ties or those 10 shots within the lead. That's traditionally the cut at most of these tournaments. And 17 strokes is a lot, you know, with such a deep field, such a big field. The last time there was a 17-stroke difference after 36 holes, it was 2005 at Harbour Town when Darren Clark led at 12 under par and the cut was 5 over. So it's the course itself at Muirfield is a fantastic course. It
sure is.
It's, you know, they play the Masters in April when it's the perfect time in Georgia. Well, in Ohio, first weekend in June is generally the best time, to put your course on display in Ohio. And it just was, it's beautiful. It looks like Augusta, the green complexes and the shapes of the bunkers, except they have rough.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's continue on with another strange thing from the weekend, or Sunday specifically. The par 3 16th green on Sunday, there was only one birdie, and only 9 players out of the whole field hit the green out of 40. Each of the previous 3 rounds, over 40 people, golfers, hit the green. Sunday, just 9 because of the pin placement, the tee placement, and the wind. But that brought up a discussion of, is that fair? Did they make the hole unfair if only 9 players hit the green?
Right.
Well, I would bet the players would say, no, it was not unfair.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. They just didn't execute. I don't think they're going to complain about a par 3 unless it was 300 yards.
Well, the thing I've always said for things like that is that they've all got to play it the same. So it's not like it was they've changed the pin mid-round and moved the tee up. It's something that they all got to deal with. It's just like 17 at TPC. I mean, everybody's got to deal with it, and you either make the shot or you don't.
We'll see if they make a change, next year.
Right.
But another takeaway that I have from this thing is watching it down the stretch. I saw Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, and Bubba Watson, 3 of the best ball strikers in the game today, with short irons or wedges in their hand into the 18th, and they all missed the green. And so when you're watching that, I just think of myself when I'm 135 yards away or 130 and I got a pitching wedge in my hand like Ricky Fowler had.
Right.
And even the smallest of greens, I'm pretty upset if I miss the green. That's a shot for me as a 5.7 handicapper that I really expect to hit. And here's Ricky Fowler and Bubba Watson and Justin Thomas, Mr. 59, miss that green. It's hard to believe. I mean, I think Ricky was going right at the flag, and that flag was tucked back left, and he just missed the green by a foot or two. But I don't know. It's amazing to me because sometimes when you watch this stuff on TV, you don't really realize. Ricky Fowler, middle of the fairway, 135 yards away. Yeah. Hit the green, right? It's your living.
I'm not sure if they were off far in their spot because from where Ricky ended up, he's up on the top left-hand side. So if that ball's a little bit more to the right, it kicks right down to the hole.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas, my guess is he probably hit that a yard or two farther than he thought. And these guys are dialed in on distance, but I'm sure Ricky at the time, because Thomas was out because Dufner already holed.
Yeah.
Thomas had to hole out to tie, right? It wasn't for a birdie. So, but Ricky Fowler is in the tournament at the time he's playing the hole. So I'm sure he's going spot on direct at that flag, gives a little bit of a tug, and misses the green by 5 feet because he had to get it up on that top shelf. Because look where Dufner ended up, even though he made the putt.
Yeah.
He hit that ridge and it came back down towards him. So he ended up with, I think it was 32 feet. And to win the tournament, to come back to win the tournament, you didn't want to have a 32-footer. You had to get up on that shelf.
Yep.
So I don't think they missed their spot by a whole lot. However, it is a wedge in a golf professional's hand.
Plus, you don't want to bring it back too far, and it goes down the hill.
Yeah, they'd be looking for a 10-footer all day.
Yeah.
With that club.
But you're right, Jim. They're pros. They have the equipment they need. Get it there.
The part of it too, and it wasn't the case for Fowler at the time, but the other thing watching that tournament is Dufner makes the putt, he wins. We know he wins, and nobody can do anything at that point behind him. But still, they have to finish.
Yep.
And when you're grinding it out, trying to win a golf tournament, the wind can just come right out of your sails. Sure. And it was really not good golf watching those guys finish.
It wasn't good golf. It wasn't good coverage. They got nothing to talk about really, other than here he comes.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really to get into. So the whole thing was about 30 minutes worth of nothing.
Pretty much, yeah. You got some shots of Dufner and an interview with Dufner.
Yeah.
But poor Daniel Summerhays coming in that last group, doubling the last hole while everybody just wants to go home.
Yeah.
and then Nicholas and Barbara Nicholas are watching from the front row. But
Jack spoke very nicely to that.
Yeah.
Summerhays, I guess he's a young man. Of course, you got Jack Nicklaus talking to you, you're going to listen.
Yeah.
But you could overhear some of it because the microphone wasn't that close.
mm-hmm.
But he was very complimentary of his game. So hopefully Summerhays takes that, takes it home with him and continues on.
Right.
So, one thing I thought was weird on the 18th hole as well, when Ricky Fowler was with Dufner. Dufner's got a 32-foot putt for par. Ricky's got that chip shot. Usually the chipper goes first. The guy off the green typically goes first on the tour.
Right.
They do that. It's just an etiquette thing for the flagstick. I know the rule of thumb is that if you're farthest away, you go. That's the rule. But usually on tour, you'll see the guys who are chipping will always play first. And Ricky elected not to go. And then, of course, Dufner makes the putt. And at that point, Ricky's out.
Yeah.
All right. So I would have thought it would have been more advantageous for Ricky to either chip in or chip close, at least to post a score.
It was unclear exactly who made the decisions.
Good point.
Big fan of the crew at CBS, but I was a suspect about a few things that they were doing. One, during the rain delay on the Golf Channel, David Duval was the only guy that I heard even mention Daniel Summerhays, who was 2 shots back with 3 to play, and the leader in the rough. Right. I thought he was in it, but they were really making it out to be a 2 and maybe a 3-person tournament with Thomas maybe having a chance. But that whole situation, Nick Faldo seemed to be like befuddled by what was going on there. And I wonder if Dufner said, no, I'm away, I'm going to go, or if Fowler said, go ahead, I'll wait.
I would bet it's Fowler or Dufner's call in that case would be my guess, because he is farthest away and clearly farthest away. I think that they probably do some hand signal normally, just go ahead and chip. But in this case, he was going to step in and putt. So I bet it was his call. So maybe I'm talking about Ricky the wrong way. Maybe he never had a chance.
Because it would, at that moment, Fowler had a chance to really rattle Dufner one of 2 ways. One, he holds it. Right. 2, he knocks it close enough where it's a gimme. Right. And now all of a sudden Duff's thinking about 2-putting for the win, which is hard, which is difficult.
Yes.
But man, I was surprised when he made that putt. It looked good, and then it rattled right in there and turned him over. It was a little disappointing, just in the fact that you knew that you weren't going to see any more golf. Because I watched the Golf Channel for that whole hour. The NBA Finals had started, game 2, and I was just watching, waiting, and then finally they play, and as soon as Dufner made that putt, it was over. So, there's also an interesting discussion I thought that kind of came out of that event. And Dufner during one of the rounds this week was 17-18 hitting greens in regulation. And I think it might have been David Duval again who said, it might have been John Cook, somebody in the post game on Golf Channel said, everybody talks about it's a putting contest out here. It's not. It's ball. It's ball striking. You need to be a great ball striker. You need to hit greens. And I really thought about that. That was a great example at this Memorial Tournament, just how great Dufner hit the ball. And it was the 16th hole, I think, where Dufner really hit that par 3 that everybody else missed. He hit the perfect shot. And then the 17th hole, he stiffed one in there for birdie. And then after struggling a little bit, found the green on 18 with his 3rd, giving himself that par putt that would eventually win it. But it was ball striking, I think, that won that for Dufner as much as the putter. But it's a good discussion to have, because even that made me realize, if you had asked me yesterday, it's a putting. Whoever's got the hot putter wins, right? But maybe not so.
Hot wedges.
There was a stat on the Golf Channel before I came here tonight that said he had a strokes gained hitting the greens in regulation. He beat the field by 10 strokes for the week.
Jeez.
That's a pretty large sum. Probably the largest. I haven't looked at it that much, but I bet it's the largest in a long time. Because I would think if you win by 1 or 2 over the field, you make it up with the putting and the chipping.
Yeah.
But his ball striking was superior to the field. And as an average putter, then he needs to hit the greens in regulation.
No question.
Right. He's not a guy that's going to have 99 putts for 4 days. But if he hits 34 17 greens out of 18,
Yeah.
he's going to be in the hunt. So,
Well, another great memorial. St. Jude next, U.S. Open after that.
we got to go out there sometime and get those chocolate milkshakes that they serve.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, they look good. They look good. They're legendary.
Yeah.
My one of my buddies is on the trip. He lives in Columbus, and he actually went and made it back for the final round yesterday. I don't think he stayed till 8 o'clock because his wife's 7 months pregnant, and they were walking.
And he was
around,
just away for the weekend.
yeah, but she wanted to go, so it was great for him.
Oh, she went with him?
Yeah, she was like, yeah, let's go, and he was like, oh, you sure? Because he wanted to take a nap, but.
And then they had to get home to watch the Cavs, probably, right?
That's right. But he said that the milkshakes are no joke. That's a true thing. You got to, if you go there, you got to get those. Just like you get a pimento cheese sandwich at the Masters, you got to get a milkshake at Jack's place for sure.
Well, you were down there, as we mentioned off the top, in near Tampa. It's Streamsong. It's one of the Golf Digest public courses, number 14 and number 10, I think the two courses are, which that's pretty elite. To be able to go to one place and play two of the top 15 public courses in America.
Yep.
So, why don't you give us your official review? Is it a place you would visit again?
Oh, absolutely. And come September, they're adding the third course, the black course. So they're going to, and I would anticipate that jumps right into the top 15 once it gets a couple years of play. Because it's supposed to be their best one once it's all said and done. They're building a private clubhouse for that one, and it's separate from the other two. The red and the blue are right next to each other with a clubhouse and small hotel, and you got a larger hotel a little bit off the course. Basically, it's an old salt mine that the company that owned the salt mine said, okay, what are we going to do with this place now, and developed a golf resort and golf haven on the East Coast. That I think it's obvious their goal is to one day rival Bandon Dunes. It reminded me a lot of that. It reminds me a lot of Chambers Bay. And I think they're just looking to be the destination on the East Coast if you want to just go to one place for golf exclusively. It's in the middle of nowhere. You're literally an hour and 15 minutes due east of Tampa and not on highways, all kinds of back roads. And we had to play both courses, we had a 7 a.m. tee time on the blue to begin with. So hour and 15-minute drive. We're up at 4:30, leaving the house by 5, and you're in total darkness driving out there. And then when you head back, you see all these cow fields that you didn't see when you drove there. So it's definitely in the middle of nowhere, but 100% recommend it. It's link style in the sense. Not in the sense of like St. Andrews, but more in the sense of the Bandon Dunes ocean style links courses, where they take the natural habitat and they carved out all these salt or sand dunes and big greens, but your tight fairways with these sand dunes around them, and some of them were 100 feet in the air. It's just crazy how big these were.
Let me go through the photos, and you can tell us what we're looking at here.
Some of the photos there.
Okay, I got them in the order that you provided them here. So,
so that's right off the clubhouse there, as you can see, putting green up there, and you see that large mound right there. You have to go all the way up that, and if you can see in the middle there, that green, that's the scoreboard there. So if you see how, a normal scoreboard's 15 feet high, right? So you see how much higher that hill is. Yeah. So you go around the corner and down the hill, and then you got to climb back up that hill all the way to the top.
You walked it, right?
Yeah, you walk, and so just a little bit more about the course itself. Streamsong highly encourages walking. They want it to be a walking experience. They have caddies there, and they want you to walk. And they even let you, if you want, not many people do it, but if you want, you can carry your own bag and you don't take a caddy if you don't want to. You can just walk it yourself with your bag. They have carts there if you want them. Highly recommend a pull cart if you're going to walk it. But you got to take a caddy, though. My rule is if any course I play that has caddies, and it's a great course, I'm taking a caddy, right? Because it gives you the full experience. Yeah. They tell you where to hit the ball. They tell you where to putt the ball, or give you hints at least. And so most of our group took caddies. There was a couple of us that didn't, but most of our group took caddies, and it was just a great experience. We had a great caddy, and he caddied for us for both rounds. Same guy for me and another guy, and just highly recommend that. So when you go out there, you should take caddies. From like middle of October until about a month ago, it's required. Everybody takes caddies or walks. And the only way you can ride in a cart at that time of year is if you have a medical excuse. Once they get to June 1st, I think they lay that off a little bit because of the heat.
It's just kind of crazy because, you think you might be limiting your clientele, but the place was packed, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They said they had, probably 300. They Thursday through Sunday, they pull about 300 a day. In the wintertime, they're pulling, 400 or so. So they're packed. That was, I believe that's the 8th hole. That there is the 19th hole. That's where you settle your bets. So so you go across the bridge after the out of the clubhouse. There's a little tee box right there, and that hole there was built specifically for end of the round. If you're tied with whoever in your bet, you go and play that hole right there. That's the 19th hole.
So you actually played 19 holes?
You could if you were
tied.
Yeah, if you're tied. No, you saw a few people over there hitting to it, but pretty tough hole. It's about 110 yards, all carry over the water, and then that little sand dune there, and then you see the sand trap all on the right side. So that's all by the. But you can get a better look too of the mound where the first tee is, way up at the top of that mound. So I'm just thinking how high those elevations are.
Yeah.
That there is a shot from the 18th fairway. Looking
is that the
down,
clubhouse?
That's the clubhouse, and that's a shot from the first tee. So that's up above from the first tee down to the clubhouse.
Looking back at the putting green?
Yeah. And if you see those two big hills on either side of the clubhouse, you come down a road and you come right in between those, and those are probably 50 feet above the clubhouse, which is 2 stories high. So you can see how massive some of these, I would imagine, were left there, and they're the salt dunes, and then some they've brought sand in and added to them, and kind of constructed other parts of it. But you can see how many natural dunes there are there, a lot like Bandon Dunes, and the courses out there. So that is, I think that's like the 6th hole. It's par 3, and it was playing at like 87 yards that day. But they can back it all the way up to about 190 based on the tee boxes. But for whatever reason, they had it way up. But
they heard you were coming.
Yeah. Well, if you see where that the guy bent down is, there's nothing behind him. So it's 87 yards. But if you hit it any long, the ball's gone, and you have no chance. You got to hit it again. It's down into a hazard. So you can see that the changes in elevations based on these salt dunes were pretty drastic.
I love small greens on golf courses. I don't not 18 small greens, but a few small greens. A lot of times you play some of these resort courses, every green's just gigantic. And
this was all the way around you. You had many different shapes and sizes, some flat ones, some contoured ones. I would say they're all lightning fast, though.
Look at that hole.
That hole is a gorgeous hole. I think that was 7 or 8. And it's par 3. It's about 165 yards, and you got that's all carry right to the front there. And there's a drastic drop off where that trap is, though. It's basically a wall. It's not like you can't walk up that part there. So you hit it into that. Have fun with that. Have fun with that one.
Just don't.
Yeah, just don't hit. That one does have a nice big green though, so it was you hit a nice straight shot there, you're okay. That's walking up the 18th fairway. You can see there's a little trouble there. And that the caddy there is going down a pretty drastic hill where if you get it far enough out there, it'll roll down another 50, 60 yards and give you a nice short shot. So it's a pretty good walk coming up that fairway, seeing the clubhouse and everything there. Very nice.
There you are.
It's my first tee. So you can
Where's
see.
your tan?
I live in upstate New York. It's been raining for 3 months. That's
a guy came from Australia to see that?
That's what the guys in Florida said.
Wow.
They all want to know every year when I come down, where's my tan? I'm not a sun worshiper, though. I got to wear that sunblock. But that's the top at the first tee. The picture does a little justice, but not quite. But that's a severe drop off down to the fairway there. Par 4, a little bit long. That is the first tee on the red course, which is a massive par 4, very long. I thought it was a par 5 the whole time I was playing it, and thought I got a bogey, and I actually ended up with a double. Yeah. So that was disappointing when I walking down the 3rd hole and saying, "Wait a minute, what do you mean I doubled that?" But yeah, it's a nice long hole there. My buddy Brian Walters, he hits it a long way, and I think he put it past that bunker on the right-hand side there.
It looks like he's creating a little lag there.
Yeah, he hits it about, when he hits it right, he hits it about 320. He just pounds the ball. It's crazy.
Dang.
Yeah, he's a big hitter. There's an alligator on the red course. The thing was about 10 feet long.
That's it. I think that's it for photos.
Just hanging out. So, unbelievable place. It really is. It's only 4.5 years old, and it's, you feel like it was there forever. I wasn't too pumped up about how fast the greens were coming from up here in the rain and having, our greens be a little slower than they even are usually. So that was quite a drastic change for me. But having the caddy point me in the right direction, once I got the speed down and knew you basically had to tap it, and if you hit it on the line, it would be close or in the hole. That definitely helped. That whole experience was great, and I highly recommend that. I can't wait to go back there.
Did you eat there between rounds?
Yeah.
Food was good?
Great clubhouse, great restaurant in the clubhouse. We hung out there. We were in a little rain delay, too, so we hung out there afterwards. Very friendly people, pros, and all the staff there were great. The caddies were just awesome. I mean, those guys were first class. A lot of them had been at other places before and left their, pretty nice places to go there. Because it's a factory, so you're going to get 2 loops a day there when you're working pretty much. You get 2 bags around, and you're doing 2 loops. You get 4 bags, so those guys are doing pretty good for themselves.
Inexpensive, you mentioned.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Very, very, very fair and affordable. Even in the high season in the wintertime, I think it's about $250 plus caddy. But for us, June 1st, the rates drop off the table. You do take the heat, the hot temperatures, the good with the bad, but we paid $90 for the first round and then $65 for the replay round. So
unbelievable.
You got the caddies, so you want to probably tip them $80 to $100 a piece based on how well they do. But
based on how well they do,
yeah, they're not. There's no flat fee. They say they suggest in the shop, hey, you should give them X amount at least, minimum I think of $80. And then
do you think in a situation like that, there's ever guys that are like, well, see you later?
Mm-hmm.
I know. Can you imagine?
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what they suggest. If a guy does a decent job, he's carrying your bag, he's carrying another guy. Just give him $100 and move on. Like, it's not even a question.
So these guys were double bagging it in the heat?
Double bagging it. Yeah. And it was hot. And luckily we had cloud cover and we were early. Well, the second round we weren't early, but we had cloud cover all day. So it really never got up to higher than, still was 85, but the sun wasn't on you. So it was sticky.
Yeah.
It was sticky, but the sun wasn't on you. So that was the second day of our trip. We went and played TPC Tampa Bay on Thursday, which good track, Florida. More of your typical Florida track with just kind of carved out, and you got water down the left and sand traps on the right, and danger everywhere. It wasn't in great shape. It's not as good as I thought it would be. So I was a little disappointed there. I'd recommend it off season. I wouldn't recommend throwing $250 down on that course compared to what I did at Streamsong. When those courses you're paying the same rates in the wintertime as well. So, not to knock them, but they could have done a little better job. All the water coolers were empty. And it was 95 on Thursday with the sun out. It was a brutal round.
And they didn't fill the water coolers.
Oh, we couldn't believe it. So we told them that. We gave them our little 2 cents about that. But and then the last place we played was World Woods Golf Club, which is in Brooksville, Florida, which is just north of Tampa, about 45 minutes up I-75. 2 unbelievable tracks as well. Kind of built along the lines of Streamsong 20 years ago. And so they've been around a little while. But they have 2 beautiful courses, 2 totally opposite courses. Streamsong has a lot more of the same type course the tracks that they have. But one, Rolling Oaks, was much like a course up here with nice big trees and wider fairways and some bigger greens with undulations. And then Pine Barrens is more kind of like a Pinehurst, where it's got the blowouts and stuff and a lot of natural habitat and a lot of sand. But 2 unbelievable places, and the prices there too were unbelievable. It was we paid $55 for the first round and $35 for the replay round.
Wow.
So 2 courses, really great tracks for $80 or $90. I mean, it's hard to believe, really.
Does Streamsong have designs on hosting any USGA events or a PGA Championship someday, similar to Bandon Dunes and Chamber Bays?
I would say that.
Or is it not that type of course?
I think the courses could do it. However, there's just nothing around them. I mean, you go to Chambers Bay, you can get to Seattle quickly. There's places to stay. literally there's nothing within an hour of this place. The small hotel that they have on site, and then the smaller hotel at the clubhouse. It's just, I think it would be tough to get people in and out of there as far as that goes. But who knows? I mean, anything's possible. The black course could be something set up where it could host something along the way. You know, if they get a lot of business and they end up expanding the hotel. But I think it would just be tough just based on the terrain and how far away it is from, you know, airports, local hotels, restaurants, things like that. So probably not. I think it's really just 100% golf for, you know, diehard golfers, buddy trips, all that stuff. You know, a lot like Bandon. I think Bandon probably could host in many tournaments, but it's not really set up for that either because it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, I think these two are east and west coast, you know, competitors, so to speak. But you know, I would highly recommend it, and I can't wait to get back there.
So, good review, good comprehensive review there. Phil Mickelson, to totally shift gears here. Streamsongresort.com, by the way, website there.
Yes.
But to totally shift gears, Phil Mickelson, all of a sudden, it came out that he's not playing in the U.S. Open because he's going to attend his daughter's high school graduation. I can't blame him.
Nope.
That's a once-in-a-lifetime deal, and really, for most people who have any whatever your occupation is, you're not going to miss your kid's high school graduation. So, but yet, this is one of maybe 4 or 5 more shots that he may have at completing the career Grand Slam. So it's really disappointing to not have him in the field. I mean, what do you think, Brownie? Couldn't he have done something?
I'm sure there's some things that could be done. I'm surprised it took this long to come out because his graduation had to be planned a year ago. I would assume the school knows what they're going to do for, you know, when does school end, when's commencement, and all that. And the U.S. Open date's been set. Now they're out there several years as well. So I don't get that. And he's got more children going to graduate, probably from the same school, and graduation is typically around Father's Day, so does he have more coming? I wonder if it came out now because he was trying to pull a deal with the school, probably with an offer of some sort to build a new stadium or a new golf course or something along those lines to shift the dates by, I don't know, a couple days, shift it to Monday or Tuesday of the following week. My guess is that it fell apart. And so the announcement comes out that I can't make it. And now I got to believe the school's probably getting ripped apart in social media, from the golf side of the social media, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But if I'm reasonably accurate, I give the school credit for here's the date, this is what we're going to do, show up if you can. And I hope that's what happened.
Yeah, and to your point there, it's a couple things. I think you're right. The school, you know, has to deal with a lot of people, and not just Phil Mickelson and his kids. It's you know, a group of people, and they probably don't want to put one person above another, regardless of what he has donated or what he would donate. I'm sure he's already donated quite a few things there. But you know, it's nice to see that the school did that. On the other side, I think my opinion is he probably knew about this and probably wasn't going to go for a while now, but just waited until now, so it wasn't talked about for the last 6 weeks.
But why Thursday?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure why that, but I just think he waited a while to say something about it, based on the fact he just didn't want to be you know, a distraction all this time.
There was a comment this weekend that happened with Jack Nicklaus during his career, and the school did change the graduation schedule to accommodate Jack, but that was in a different time. You know, I doubt money was offered, all that kind of good stuff. Maybe not. I don't know, but a different time. Now, if that stuff happens, everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
You know, social media, etc. So
who knows what? I don't know enough about the school. Maybe Phil Mickelson is not the only celebrity parent. You know,
could be. California,
and maybe
it's quite a town.
You know, maybe it's an affluent type of school that a monetary donation would be considered, but not the end all. And maybe, just maybe, too many other families had made plans for that date.
Right.
So I just wonder why back in the fall somebody didn't, put two and two together and see if they could do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or it could be one or two school board members that just were like, don't like Phil Mickelson. Who knows? You never know.
Based on where he lives in Rancho Santa Fe, I would imagine there's at least 50 families there that are as wealthy, if not more wealthy, than Phil. So I think there's a lot of people that might have some influence on that school monetarily and notoriety-wise. So I think, probably a tough spot for both sides.
But he's on my fantasy golf team. Nobody's talking about that.
I could care less, Jim. You know that. So.
Are you trailing a little bit this year, Doug?
No. I got the lead. I don't. For him, I got the lead.
Oh yeah, he got the lead.
I don't care about his team at all.
Yeah, right.
And now the school's kind of trapped. They can't change it now because it's going to come out that they did, and it's going to look like they accommodated Phil.
Right.
So it's over as far as I'm concerned. Phil's going to have to make a choice to play or go to graduation. Now, I'm not sure if he's officially withdrawn.
He'll be.
He hasn't, because I think they're waiting to see like the timing of things, because tournaments at Erin Hills in Wisconsin.
Right.
He's graduation's in California. He's got a private jet that can leave at any moment's time.
Yeah.
So, but again, the U.S. Open, I don't believe that they're allowed to make tee times based on special circumstances like that, are they?
I don't think they'd want to be known to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I know they were talking about that last night about getting a early on Thursday and a late on. When is graduation? Must be Friday.
It's probably Thursday.
Or Thursday night.
So he'd have to play like 7 on.
Right, which is
Thursday.
unusual for the big guys. Don't go out that early.
Right.
Even though you get an early late, you get a 9:30, 1:30. You don't get a 6:45 and a 4:45.
Yeah.
But there was some talk about doing some of that, and apparently the USGA would consider doing that. But then you still got, what about a weather delay?
But he has to decide by Friday, right? Or is it?
Or what happens if he says, I'm going to play, and it is Thursday? What if there's a rainstorm and Thursday's washed out?
Now your alternate gets screwed. The first alternate out.
And I think that puts him in a bad spot. Right. That's why I think you'll see him not play. And to his credit, good for him.
Right. So there's a deadline of, well, I guess if you got injured, there's no real deadline to getting the alternates, right? Because they could have 2 or 3 alternates there ready to play.
Yeah, they're all there on site, right?
I think the regular events you got to declare by like Tuesday for the following week,
right? Something
like that. But for this one, he could do a Dustin Johnson and slip and hurt his back, and you're going to get an alternate. The Masters wouldn't do it, but the U.S. Open would. So I don't know how that happens, but I'm betting that Phil goes to graduation and we're not going to see him in the U.S. Open.
Which, by the way, Dustin Johnson missed the cut at the Memorial. I mean, the number one player in the world. Yeah. Shot, what was it, 6 over, I think, first round, misses the cut. And it seems like, not unlike Jordan Spieth at the Masters when he chunked that shot on 12, when Dustin Johnson slipped and fell. Now, did Johnson win since then?
No, but he came back and finished second.
Yeah, he finished second.
Right.
But still, he was setting up to have like the year of all years, just like we said Spieth was going to 2 years ago. And it seems like Jason Day, when he got to number one, it just seems like it's not, I don't know if I'd call it a curse, but it's just very difficult to remain the number one player in the world.
Look at Rory after his 4th major. I mean, kind of haven't really.
Right. They all have peaks and valleys during the year. It's got to be exhausting to think about. They play week after week, and it's 7 days a week with the pro-ams and all that.
Yep.
How sharp you can always be. And then there's a U.S. Open coming up that you're planning for.
Yeah.
So.
And you're playing against, every tournament you're teaming up against 80 other guys who could easily shoot the best score. It's just they could be hot and you're not. So that Tiger factor, where Tiger would actually influence other players through fear and intimidation, is not really a factor anymore.
Right. It took us 50 minutes to get his name into the show today. I purposely didn't say his name. I was going to see if we could go a whole show without saying.
I didn't put it in the script, but since we last met last week, he did have those arrest videos come out, and they were really strange.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Just to see him that way, and
he's a long way from ever playing golf again.
What a mess
right now.
Yeah, well, we won't get into that.
Get on that. Yeah, that's bummer stuff. We don't want to talk about that.
Real quickly, today's called the longest day in golf because it's U.S. Open sectional qualifying in several sites across the country. I had hoped maybe by this time to have full results, but there were some rain delays. It's 36 holes at each place, and depending on how many golfers are entered in each one of these, some of them take as little as 1 or 2 golfers from like 40 or field of 40 or 50. It's really difficult. I've caddied in a couple of these before, and it's a USGA feel at these events. It feels like a big event, and you can get anyone from your handful of club pros to top amateurs to longtime PGA Tour veterans like Steve Stricker. Or in my case, one of them I caddied at, we were paired with Luke Donald, who medaled.
Mike Donald.
Mike Donald, yeah,
Sorry.
not Luke Donald. You're right, Mike Donald, different era, and also a different country.
Yes.
And Mike Donald was never a number one player in the world like Luke was. But it's a cool event, and to see this type of play, not a lot of spectators, just friends and family usually strolling the fairways. So golfweek.com is probably where you want to go to check out the results from all those. And they do a really good job of covering it, and I really would recommend you go to golfweek.com maybe Tuesday morning and just check out all the results and photos and stuff. It's a truly, truly unique thing, and it'll make you, I think, appreciate what the U.S. Open's all about, which is the Open National Championship. And it truly is. This is a sectional qualifying. The regional qualifying, there's even more of these things that was held a couple weeks ago. The regional qualifying, where almost anybody can get in with a 4 handicap or better. So, okay, so there's that. And what do we got next? Wow, man, we were running late here. I got to talk about the Shanks and the FedEx St. Jude Classic preview. And what do we got here? About 7 minutes? Okay. Yeah, I had the Shanks. I don't know why. I've shanked golf shots before in my life, but I've never had the Shanks to where I shanked one after another, or round. And it's a horrible, horrible thing, because even when you're not shanking a shot, you're thinking about shanking a shot, so you're probably not going to – you hit a lot of pull hooks because you're so I actually at one point started playing pull hooks just because that was the only way I could feel like I wasn't going to shank it. And then every round I shake it off, say I don't have the shanks, this is stupid, and I'd show up the next time to play and hit the range to warm up and immediately shank 15 6-irons in a row. and then hey, here we go, off to the first tee.
Great mindset to head to the first tee.
And it wasn't fun. Around here I waited all winter to play, and now I'm playing, and it's just it's difficult to have fun golfing. I can have fun struggling off the tee, 3-putting. I still feel like I'm having fun, but shanking the ball there's no way to manage that. There's no way to manage it.
There's nothing worse.
Long story short, because it has to be, because we're short on time. Well, I realized that I really wasn't taking a full turn. I was taking almost like a 3/4 turn, more armsy than I wasn't getting my left shoulder under my chin. And I was also quick from the top. It was a combination of the two things, and I don't know. I just slowed it down, and I took a bigger turn. And like after 4 rounds of going through this, I show up for the 5th round, and I kind of figured it out towards the end of the 4th round last time I played. But then it was just back to normal again. So here we go. Yeah. Have you guys ever had the shanks like that from round to round to round?
It's not good. Yeah.
So there was a club championship back in 2000.
You against Sean O'Connor.
And I think I had 8 shanks in the final round, and was fortunate to get a couple of them up and down for par to win the match. But they're awful, and I was trying to fix them the wrong way. I kept trying to stand farther away from it and then coming more from the inside, which is the wrong way to go, as it turns out. But they're actually, believe it or not, better players get shanks. And it's awful to think that, because they're just a horrible shot. But that ball's got to hit on the inside of that club face, and that shank's getting introduced very close. If you saw pictures of Ben Hogan's clubs, all those ball marks where he hit the ball was very close to the shank, right? And a good player will basically introduce the shank to the golf ball. So because they typically come more from the inside. And I found the cure was to basically go to a cut swing for a little while, to go from the outside in, because you won't find somebody who really slices the ball. They won't shank it.
Yeah,
They might slice it left to right, but it's different than a shank. So they're demoralizing. And then sometimes you really got the same shot all over again that you just had.
Yep.
Because all you do was push it to the right. And they got the same club in your hand. It's awful.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, one of those rounds I had when I was playing the pull hook, like I mentioned it, I actually hadn't. I think I shanked one on the front side, but then I didn't shank anymore. And then on the 18th hole, I had about 80 yards in, and I shanked a wedge. And then so now I've got about 45 yards from the right rough, and I shanked it again. Yeah. So now I got about a 30-yard pitch from further in the right rough,
right.
And just keep going around a circle around the green. So it's bad stuff. But if it happens to you, you got to understand it happens to the best players in the world. Even Roy McAvoy from the fictional movie Tin Cup.
No doubt.
It's not. Don't get down on yourself. It really is the opposite of thinking. You feel like you never played the game before, and it's embarrassing, and you really shouldn't feel that way. It's a part of golf, and you just gotta keep going through it. Like a lot of people would say during this, said to me, "Oh, geez, what are you going to do?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to do anything. I don't have the shanks. I'm just going to play, and eventually, it's I don't know." And it did. I don't know anybody who had the shanks that had them forever, right?
They go away.
So there you go. Mm-hmm. Okay, quickly here we got about 3 minutes to preview the St. Jude's. Good thing it's not the U.S. Open, but. Yeah, the St. Jude Classic is a great tournament. TV Thursday, Friday, 4 to 7 on the Golf Channel. Saturday, Sunday, 1 to 2:30 on the Golf Channel, then 3 to 6 on CBS. TPC Southwinds playing at 7,200 yards, par 70. Interesting that it was designed by Ron Pritchard and Hubert Green and Fuzzy Zeller, and then redesigned not redesigned, but kind of some changes oversaw by Lauren Roberts. Some names that you don't really consider great golf course architects, but certainly notable names from the world of golf. And the 11th hole is a par 3 island green, not unlike Sawgrass. Short iron to an island green. That's the 11th hole. Adam Scott will be there for the first time in 10 years. Ricky Fowler will be there. Mickelson will be there, supposedly, but maybe not now that he's playing in the U.S. Open. Who knows? Or that he's not playing in the U.S. Open. David Duval coming out of the broadcast booth to start and play in this one, so that'll be interesting. And it's the St. Jude's Children's Hospital is a charity, and I think that's why a lot of guys come out and play. It's a great charity, and it's a fun little tournament.
Should be a good tune-up for the U.S. Open. A lot of the big names will be there.
So we'll be back next week to wrap that up. But more importantly, we're going to preview the National Championship of Golf here in America, the U.S. Open.
One last thing on Streamsong I forgot to mention, and it'll be quick. On the turn at the blue course, there's a taco stand. And I never thought I'd have a taco at 8:15 in the morning, but I had two amazing tacos at 8:15 in the morning. So a great little nugget. When we were talking a few weeks back, I think about some, the halfway houses and number 10, snack shacks. This place was awesome. And on the red course, they have a barbecue stand. So that was a great little addition in the afternoon. You get some ribs and just two unique things about Streamsong. I don't know what they're going to have in store for the black course, but having a taco in the morning sounds a little crazy, but it was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's got me thinking.
Yeah.
Did they have different kinds of tacos?
Oh yeah, there was a couple. They had carnitas. They had fish tacos. They had three different assortments for each day. I think they changed it up, but it was pretty cool.
Okay, got time for a pick for the FedEx St. Jude. If anybody's got it, we all struck out on our memorial picks. Nobody picked Dufner.
Adam Scott.
I'll take Ricky Fowler.
Okay, and I will take. I had somebody in mind, and now I'm drawing a blank. I will take Zach Blair.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
With authority.
Yeah, why not? So, that's about it, guys. Good job for another week here. We'll be back next Monday to preview the U.S. Open. Thanks for spending some time with us on the GolfJ.com podcast. Connect with us online on Twitter at the GolfJ, Instagram at the _GolfJ. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/GolfJ. All of our episodes and the best of the wide world of golf on the web can be found at golfj.com. We will be back next Monday at 9 o'clock. Until then, hit 'em long, not often.
golfj.com.